Hi everyone! In this video I'll show you my waterfall folio made with Cricut Design Space. If you'd like to use my project, check the description right under this video. You'll find a link to my Facebook group. I hope you'll come join the fun. We're going to start by taking a look at this file in Design Space. It's a large file and there's a couple of things you might want to change. Some things are optional and some are not. So I thought it was wise to show you how I created this file and what the different pieces are meant for. So I put a little note on this one, of course, my chipboard base. So I've done this with Cricut, the light chipboard, and it worked out great. This time I'm using the backing from my 12 by 24 cardstock. It's nice, it's a really nice thickness and it cuts easily. I tried cutting it on medium chipboard in Design Space and I used my knife blade and it worked great on a strong grip mat. But I also tried cutting it as light chipboard on a strong grip mat, and I used my fine point blade, but it was necessary to press cut twice. Don't unload the mat, just press cut a second time and it works. So if you don't have the knife blade, you can still cut that material on your machine. So I'll show you what it is when we get to the assembly part of this video. So this you definitely need. You need something strong to be your foundation in the file. So we'll take this and I'm going to ungroup it. So this large blue piece is your cover for your chipboard. You definitely need that. This blue piece is your inside layer. You need that also. That will cover the inside of the chipboard and the construction of your folio. This layer is optional. If you're not using your favorite pattern for the inside, but you want to, let's say you're just using a plain cardstock and you want to add some pattern, you can cut this layer. In this case, today, the folio that I'm assembling, I did use a nice pattern for the inside, so I'm not going to be using this layer. But I also don't want to delete it. I just want to go to my layers panel, click the eye, and hide it. This piece you definitely need. This is the foundation layer where you're going to install your waterfall pieces. That being said, these are the waterfall pieces that we're going to install. So you definitely want this layer and this layer. So whatever colors you choose, of course, is completely up to you. So I'm just going to group that back together again, move it to the back, and we'll put it aside. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you before I put it away. This is your pocket. You're going to install this on this side, whether you have that extra pattern piece or not. This will go on this side, and it's your pocket to add tags or journaling cards or whatever you'd like to add to it, a gift card, whatever you like. So this is going to go to the back. It's already there, and we'll set this aside. We know what it is, and this. These three, you have 17 layers total. These are going to be the decorative layers that you put on your waterfall. I've done mine in 3 different patterns. You can do them all the same if you want to, if that's what you're going to do. Just adjust the colors here in Design Space. In fact, for the whole project, a smart thing to do is click Make It on the mat, continue, and you can go through all the different mats and choose your cardstock that way. Decide what you're going to use. We'll go back to the canvas. So in this one, I'm going to use 3 different patterns. So I'm just going to keep those 3 different colors so they all cut on separate mats. If you want to use all one pattern, you're going to adjust these layers accordingly so that your mats are correct. These two are the panels for the outside. Again, optional. If you don't want to use them, don't use them. And these little cuts are the little decorative layers that you're going to put on your waterfall to hide the construction, or not necessarily hide it, but dress it a little bit for the construction. And these two tags are optional. I've cut them. I'm going to use them as 2 extra tags to put into the pocket. But of course, they're optional. They're totally up to you if you want to use them or not. You're not obliged. So again, if you're not going to use them, you just want to hide them in the layers panel. You don't want to delete anything because you may decide to redo this project, and you may want to use those the next time you make this project, if not this time. So you want to keep everything that's in it, just hide in the layers panel, whatever you're not going to use. As you can see, this is a lot of cuts. I've already cut everything out, or this video would be way too long if you had to watch me go through all the mats. So I'm going to switch to my overhead camera and we'll assemble this waterfall folio. If you're in my Facebook group, you've already seen my demo version, or demo, not demo, but trial version. This is one that I put together quickly. I didn't even use a good adhesive when I made it, so it's peeling up on the edges. But this was just a trial version to measure my cuts and to see what I needed to adjust. But I already showed you that in my Facebook group, so we'll just set it aside. I promised in the beginning of the video to show you what I used. I'll just keep this out of the way. So this is what I used for the construction of this booklet. It's I found it in the back of the Cricut cardstock. I noticed there's one in the cardstock pack that I bought from Michael's also, but it's not as sturdy. These are in the back of Cricut cardstock. I got this one in the 12 by 24 pack, and I just cut it in half. And it works really great. It's not too thick, so it's not any issue to cut, whether you're using a maker knife blade or your Explore machine. You can still cut it with a fine point blade, but I mentioned that in the beginning of the video. So this is my front and back panel. These come out of the cardstock pack that I already showed you also in my group. Those are decorative. And these little cards I'm going to include in the pocket. Little quotes and very cute. These are also from that cardstock pack. They come as a sheet like this. I don't even know if that pack is still available, but I've never used it. I kept it because it was so pretty. I think I'm going to cut out this one too. Always be brave and free spirit. I'm going to cut those out also and include them in my folio. So that came from the cardstock pack. These are 2 tags that I mentioned you can use or not use. It's completely up to you. So I'm going to put those in the pocket. And then we have the rest of all the construction pieces. So here's my chipboard and my outside cover. This is what I'm going to be using. You'll notice on the outside cover that there's score lines only on 3 sides. At the moment, we're going to use them just to guide the placement of our chipboard. So you want to just bend them a little bit so they're really easy to see, but you don't want to make a really crisp fold in them yet. Just to make sure when you line it up and fold it, you don't have a fold in the wrong place, because at the moment they're just our little guide. That will help me to lay out my chipboard. There we go, so we can see where the chipboard is going to go. So we're going to take one piece, we're going to add it here, right up against those score lines. And then our second piece on the right side, right up against those score lines. Make sure you even them out. You don't want your little book to be lopsided. And then last we'll add our spine in the center. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to add some adhesive. There we go. I'm just going to spread it out a little because I don't want it to dry with any bumps in it. Just spread it out a little. And then as mentioned, we're going to line it up on the left and the top score line. A little too much adhesive there. Okay, and now we're going to do the second one on the right side. Smooth it out a bit. You don't have to do this. I just want to make sure that I don't have any bumps because of my adhesive. And we're going to line that up on the right side and top score lines. And finally our centerpiece. And you line it up with the top. But you also want to center it. That looks good. Okay. So the next, as you noticed, you may have noticed on the cardstock there were no score lines. It was no use to put the score lines in advance because depending how you lay out your cardstock, they might be in the wrong place, or your chipboard, I should say, they might be in the wrong place. So there's no use putting score lines in advance. So now I'm just bending it a bit to make sure that it's pliable. And that looks good. I'm going to take my bone folder, the thin edge, and just run it along to make more of a score line in it. And you just want to play with it and work it like that till you get a nice smooth edge. Make sure everything is dry and well adhered. Gonna let that dry some more before I bend it again. That looks good. Okay, so now we're going to trim off our corners. So on my demo version, or my trial version, I had Design Space miter the corners. And then I found when I laid my chipboard, I was a little off, so I had a gap on one corner. So that didn't work very well. I think it's better to take a pair of scissors after you install your chipboard and just take off your corners on a diagonal cut. So you want to be about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Maybe that's too much. Yeah, that's too much. I need to trim a little more. That should do it. And I'm going to do that on all sides. Hopefully I didn't cut off too much. Too little is fine. I can always cut more, but if you cut too much, you're kind of stuck. We'll hope I didn't make a mistake on any of these. There we go. We're done with that. Okay, I put my two double-sided tape on first so that it's easier than trying to put it on an angle afterwards. So I'm going to fold up the top and fold it down. Before you do that, if you want to, you can add extra adhesive. If you think that your tape might not be strong enough, you can add extra adhesive in there. And I'm just going to lightly score that. We don't want to do it too deep. We don't want to break anything. So I'm just going to lightly score it. That should work fine. And we're going to do the same on this edge. Score again. That looks good. That's working well. The thing is to do it gently and to do it slowly. Don't rush to get that folded properly. Just take your time. Make sure everything is well glued and well scored, but score gently. You don't want to tear through your cardstock. So this one is going to go up on the side. That looks good. Take off my tape cover. Well, that one doesn't want to come off. It doesn't want to play. That looks good. Going to push in that corner a little bit. Maybe I can just take a scissor and trim. There we go. That's great. I do have really close call here, but I'm going to have cardstock over it, so it should be fine. And our last corner, that one's good, and this one's good. So I'm glad that I didn't miter those corners in Design Space. They turn out better if you miter them by hand as you assemble, just in case you place your chipboard a little differently. Okay, this should all work, and it does. So that's the outside construction. And that's great. We're good. So now we're going to install the inside. I'm going to take off this little point I see. There's one here too. There we go. All good. So now we're going to add the inside, the second largest panel. We want to center that up. I should mention too, you don't want to use any cardstock that's too stiff, because it will break when you try to score it. You risk punching through it, so you don't want to use anything that's too stiff. Take those off. I've already added, as you can see, some of the double-sided tape so that the video isn't too long while you watch me put tape on my cardstock. There we go. Okay, so the best way to do this is to add adhesive to the center. Make sure it's well glued on and work your score lines before you actually glue down the sides. I find that works best. Okay, so this is my inside panel installed. Keep adjusting your score line, making it a little deeper gradually, fold and open. You want to keep playing with it like that as it becomes more pliable. You'll see how it works for you. So this should be getting softer and more pliable. And we'll continue on decorating it. So on this side, I'm going to use my little pocket. So I'm just going to get that ready. I should have the piece, here it is. So you'll see that you only have a score line on the left and on the bottom. That's all we need. Just give that a good press. There we go. And I'm going to take my little scissor and cut out this little corner so it's not too bulky when I glue it. Oh, we don't need that. Just add a little adhesive. And we'll glue in our pocket. Just want to get it in straight. Make sure that's drying well. And it's only glued on 2 sides so that you have room for larger tags in here. And this is my decorative layer. It matches my background. I really like this cardstock. I think it's super pretty. So just add a little adhesive to that. Oop, came out too fast. There we go. And we'll center this up. And there's my little pocket. Straighten it up a little. There we go. Okay, and this is where we're going to put all our little journaling cards or tags or a gift tag or whatever it is that you'd like to add to it. These are fun. And that's really cute. You have all these little extras in a pocket. So we'll just take those back out. We don't need them yet. Okay, so on this side we're going to add our foundation piece for our waterfall layers. And we'll just center that up. That's our background. I'm just going to keep playing with this a little to make sure it keeps folding nicely. It's getting softer and easier to fold. Nice. So that's it. As you construct the cover, you're going to have to play with it a little bit and soften it up. Score it gradually so you don't tear through. And fold it gently until you get it working exactly how you want it. And now we're going to add our waterfall layers. So each one of these has a score line up at the top. You're just going to make that one score and you're going to line them up. Okay, so we just put a little adhesive. I'll use this one. There we go. So you're going to line it up right at the top of that pink foundation piece that I put on, right at the top. Going to score a second one. Add my adhesive. Open this up and you're going to line it up right with the edge of the first one you put on. Make sure it's nice and straight. Check your edges that they're nice and straight. And there's the second one. And you're going to continue like this until you have them all installed. right against the edge. And make sure they're straight along your edges, along your sides. Looks good. And our last one. And then once you've done this, all the construction is done and you just need to decorate. There we go. And there's all our layers. Cute. Okay. So now we need to decorate these. I'm just going to go over my score lines a little bit. Make sure they're laying flat. Because I am using a thick Cricut cardstock. If you use a thinner cardstock, your score lines will be flatter, of course. There we go. Once this has been closed for a while, those waterfall flaps will lay a lot flatter. Okay, so we're going to decorate. I have all my little pieces that go on the folds. Take that away. And I have my layers. So I need to decide what is going to be where. So I think I'll put this one on top. I like this gold piece. So I think I'll put that one on top. And then maybe the blue-green next for contrast. And then this one is multicolored, so I think I'll use that next. So the thing is, it's good to lay them out first so you can see how it looks in case you want to change something around. because if you start gluing it without checking what you're doing, you may decide you don't like the way you selected the patterns and want to change them, but they'll already be glued down. So I think I'm going to do that. If it will stop popping up, I think that. And then maybe this teal one again. I'll just repeat what I've done here. And then the multicolor. Okay. And then the red again. And the teal. And the multicolor. Maybe I'll pick one with more color, like this. Okay, so that's how I'm going to install my layers, and these are going to be used for the top of the layers when you open them up. I'll be using these. Okay, so let's start installing these. Just make sure you centered them up nice and straight. That's my top one. And we'll just continue on like this until all these are installed. Looks good. Okay, we have all our pieces installed on the fronts. I think that's super pretty. I really like this combination of cardstock. It's so nice and vibrant. That's great. We have to install all our little pieces along the top. This is where these go. So that kind of decorates the construction a little bit so that you don't see that blank cardstock. Just put those on and line them up. I'm using the same cardstock that I used for my background, but you can use something totally different if you want to. You just change it in the design space file before you go to cut. See, that just makes it look a little more decorative. And then also when you add your layer in here, it looks a lot more finished. Add this one. I'm always messy with liquid glue, so I always keep a little piece of cardstock beside me that I can use to clean up my little messes. Getting better. And you see with the weight of this cardstock, it's starting to hold this down a little. Last one. It's a long project, but it's worth it because they're so cute. And someone asked, what would you use it for? Well, you could use it for storing journaling notes, adding photographs, use it like a little mini scrapbook would be cute too. Okay. So that's our top layers done. They're all done, all adhered, looking great. Now we have to do the back sides of these. So I have this one, and I have this gold emblem and the turquoise or teal. So I want to use something different. So I'll start with this one. I think I'll put that there. Then we have the teal and this multicolor. So I'll add this one just to mix them up a little, the multicolor and this gold emblem. So I'll add the teal. But of course, that's how I'm doing them. That is the logic behind how I'm doing them. But you can set them up any way you want to. I have the gold coin, the teal. I'll add a multicolor. The teal, the multicolor. I'll add my coin or my emblem, gold emblem, teal, multicolor and gold, so I'll add teal. Gold emblem and teal, so I'll add the multicolor. but then I have two of the same. That doesn't work. Did I miss? Whoops, I did miss one. There we go. We'll add the multicolor, and then we have the multicolor and the teal, so we'll add the coin. So that way they're all different as you flip them open. So we'll start with this first one. And I'm going to turn it around so they're facing me. Easier to line them up when they're facing you. And we'll start adding these. And there we go. All our layers are done. So you can see all the colors. Very cute. Love all these colors. So that's that side done, nothing left to do, unless you want to decorate it more. And these are my little add-ins that I'll put in. Tags. Maybe I'll put one of these in front. My little tags, and we'll close it up. And now I need to add my panels to the outside. So I'm going to add hello to the front. I think that's going to be cute. Make sure I get this centered. Oh, that's pretty. I love all the gold in this cardstock. Makes it so nice and bright. That's pretty. And I'll add the one to the back. And there we go for the back. Okay. So I could have, under these layers, I could have added ribbon, one on each side so that it tied, but I'm just going to add ribbon to wrap around. There we go. So I'll just measure how much ribbon I want. Side, and I'm just going to tie a bow on it. To hold it closed. And there we go. I think it's super cute, super fun. I think this makes a great little gift. You can give it with a gift card in it, or some photos would be fun too. I hope you're going to make this project, a waterfall folio. It's super fun to make. It takes a little time and some patience, but I know you'll do a beautiful job. Please post pictures in the group if you do make some. And as mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you'd like to use my Design Space file, check the description right under this video. You'll find a link to my Facebook group where I share my projects. Thank you for watching.